All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Kelly Couch. And tonight, I'm an independent promoter with the company Pruvit. And tonight we are going to be talking about setting expectations, specifically setting expectations for when you get 5 and 10-day experiences out into the marketplace. So a lot of times what happens is we sign up and we decide we're going to do this, right? We've had a great personal experience. We are feeling really good. We're starting to share how we're feeling. We get our experience pack. We're getting people to try the product. We feel like it's going really well. And then what? Nothing happens, right? And then you start to feel like, oh no, why can't I get them to the site? Why can't I get them to write back to me? Why can't I get them feeling as good as I'm feeling, right? Look, we need to be looking at what expectations we're setting for those people when we're getting them to try it, right? So a lot of people will say to you, what will I feel in 5 or 10 days? What will I see in 5 or 10 days? And you're like, oh my gosh, what do I even say, right? That's what we're going to talk about tonight, okay? What we want to do, your job is to hold their hand through this, right? And give them honest expectations rather than fluffing them full of like what you think they want to hear in order to get that 5 or 10 day or in order to place an order, right? So a lot of times what we like to be doing, right? The main thing that you want to do is let them know that this is a test drive, right? You're getting a smaller amount so that you can figure out what flavor you want to continue with for a 30, 60, 90-day supply, right? And so I think a lot of times we get caught up. We feel so good, and I know Nick and I have been guilty of this a lot. We feel so good that we want to pour that into other people, right? So instead of recognizing that we were once skeptics, or we may have needed that 5 or 10 day to get started, we say, you're going to feel awesome, right? You drink it, you're going to feel great, and then you can just keep going feeling great, right? Like that isn't what people need, right? They need to understand that nothing may happen in 5 or 10 days. What this is really to do is to test out the flavors, see which one you like, and see which one you want to go forward with. You don't want to and make you feel comfortable when you go on the site knowing that you're going to like it once you go ahead and make that purchase. So if you're framing this the right way, you should be able to, if you're framing it the right way, they should have no surprises, right? They should know that it's not free. They should know that they're probably not going to lose weight in the first 5 or 10 days. They should know that they probably aren't going to like 1 or 2 of the flavors. Everybody's palate is different, right? They should know that, there's different ways to mix it. They should know all this stuff if you're framing it the right way. You're not handing them 5 days and leaving them alone for a while, right? Sometimes some language that we use, like I said, test driving the car. Sometimes I tell people, we all have that box of stuff in the garage that we know how much we paid for it, so we aren't about to get rid of it. But we went on and bought it, and now we don't like it. So this is your way to avoid that box in the garage, and you get to try it out before you ever go online and see which one you like. So what you want to be doing, how you should walk through this, right, to set this expectation for your customer. We're going to do the play that works, right? We're going to ask people what they know about ketones and ketosis. What I still think works, you can go back and even use this kind of test drive language. Back when we first started a couple of years ago, we used this test market language, or test drive language, to even get people to try it. It was like, hey, we're test marketing a new product. Do you want to try, back then it was 5 for 25 or 10 for 50, and let us know how you feel. Give us your honest feedback, right? So that sort of laid out that expectation, like, hey, it's a new product. Let's just see how it goes. You try it, I'll try it. We'll see how it goes. But we didn't lead in like, you're going to love it. You're going to feel awesome the first day. You're going to sleep great, blah, 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 right? You have to lay it out for them. So then you ask them these questions, right? You send them the video. And then what you want to send them is, what benefits did you see on the video or hear on the video that would be a game changer for you? right? So you're following up. You see what they know, you send them a short 4-minute video, and then you're going to ask them so that when they watch it, they're engaged. They know the benefits. They're seeing like, oh, that's me. I need that, right? And then you can get an idea, or I can get an idea of where I want to lead the conversation next, right? So I know what they're looking for. So say they tell me, if I could lose 20 pounds of fat, that would be a game changer for me. Okay, so I know they're coming in wanting to lose fat. I know how to frame that then, right? So it didn't come on in 10 days. Here's an example. It didn't come on in 10 days. Let's give it more than 10 days to get off. Things you might feel in the next 10 days are better energy. Some people feel better sleep. Some people better mood. But really what this is going to do is give you a chance to try the flavors so you feel comfortable when you go to the site. You're always kind of dropping that in, that this is the end goal is to get them 30, 60, 90 days. I always bring the bar way down. So, you know, when you, so when you're talking to them, if they say, you know, I really need energy, and you're like, you might not feel anything in the 10 days. Some people feel energy. And then, because if you're doing it the opposite, right, what happens is you're like, you're going to feel energy. I've seen so many people lose weight in the first 10 days and blah, 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 blah. Then they're looking for that stuff. If you're like, it takes your body time to adapt, it's really a flavor thing. Anything they feel above that, they think that's awesome, right? And then they say, oh, I did feel some, you know, then, okay, so like I said, they come for fat loss. And then you can say, you know, fat loss isn't something we really see a lot in 10 days. Some people do, some people don't. And then you lay out what they might experience. And what you can also do is, if you're laying this out, is you might remind them of things that they did feel, right? So they're looking solely for fat loss. If that was their game changer from the video, that's what they're looking for. But if you say, hey, fat loss isn't really like a lot of what people experience, but did you experience any energy or better mood? And they're like, I did clean my whole house for the first time in 10 years. And I did go out and garden, and I was able to do this and that. So you can remind them of the other benefits too, right? And then I also know that they're going to experience way more than that and get a lot more benefits. So I can keep saying that, you know, and reminding them this is going to come. It's just a timing thing, right? It's going to happen. And also another thing we want to be doing when we're setting expectations, and I know, you know, I've been guilty of this too, and Nick and I actually gave them out for free a long, long time ago, but we say, you know, you always want to be calling it a 5 or 10 day experience or a starter pack and not a sample, right? I think when you say sample, people think free, and then you're sort of backtracking and it gets really awkward and those things too, right? So, I let them know when you're affirming like what they might feel and all this stuff and asking them what they want to experience, you're letting them know they're being heard, and you let them know that they'll get what they're looking for, but not in 5 or 10 days, right? So you just set that bar super low, then anything they do feel, they feel great, right? Ultimately, they know what they're paying. You're putting that out there, and they know that they may experience some or nothing, but they can figure out what they feel comfortable ordering and go forward with that. How I say it is, we'll get you on this to begin experiencing this so you can get adapted, and then you can roll right into your flavor, right? And I think the important thing here is that straight up, like, no one's getting a new body in 10 days, right? Everyone wants to, no one's getting that. So let's lay that out for them, right? If you don't say it, they're going to think it. You need to stop thinking that they know what to expect and lay it out for them, right? So set up things to look for, right? A guide to what they will be experiencing. So what I say when I set people up on 5 or 10 day experiences, I like to call this the boyfriend-girlfriend program, right? My husband doesn't mind. I'm your girlfriend for the next 5 or 10 days. I'm going to be checking in. I'm going to be making sure you feel good. I'm going to be answering any questions you may have. You know, that's our relationship for the next couple days. Don't feel nervous to ask me anything. Believe me, if you know the questions I have heard, you wouldn't feel embarrassed to ask me a thing. And then I make some kind of joke about Nick, you know, and what he's heard, women's issues and all that, you know, just however you can get comfortable in that relationship, but make sure they know you're their girl, right? Or you're their guy. So what do I do next, right? So I get them the 5 and 10 days. And then I think you need to realize the days of what they have. So if they have 10 days, go ahead and lay out that expectation like, hey, day 5, we want to make sure that we are kind of locking it down, seeing what you like and what you don't like, because you don't want to run out. The last thing you want to do once you start feeling good is to run out. So you want to constantly be reminding that the end goal here is to get to the cited order and try it for that 30, 60, 90 days, right? So day one, check in. What do you want to do day one? You want to check in. What flavor did you have today? Did you like it? And if they don't, if you don't ask, I think you need to ask, like, did you feel good? Not just what flavor. They may experience nothing and they're afraid to tell you that. They may, you name it, anything that they feel, it's okay, right? You can help them. If they felt great, good. If they felt nothing, good. If they didn't like the flavor, you can give them suggestions, right? But you need to ask, because especially the people closest to you are not going to feel necessarily comfortable probably telling you, it wasn't really my thing. But you can say, you know how to come back and make them feel good about that. Like just today, I did this exact thing. She had Maui Punch. She said she didn't love the taste of it, but she got it down. And I'm like, hey, here's some ways to mix it. I know you have another pack in your 10-day. I would say, my husband would say that's his favorite one, but we all have different flavors. We all have different ones we like, and I'm going to go into what I said next to her in the next one. So also day one, I say in my experience, XYZ happened on day one or XYZ didn't happen. Always relate to them with your own personal experience of how you felt. Like Nick and I felt very different in our 5 and 10 days. Nick felt super high energy right out of the gate. For me, it took a little bit longer. I, didn't have the energy. I gained a few pounds my first week. So, it's all about that adaptation, but share experience. So I say in my experience on my day one, nothing mind blowing, but I felt some energy, some focus, lets them acknowledge whatever they're feeling, even if that was nothing, right? So then you can say, I felt this, would you agree? And then they can say no, they can say yes. You're opening that dialogue so that they feel like each day they can share honestly what they were feeling. So day 2, 3, 4, 5, similar to day one. You want to check in. What flavor did you drink? How'd you like it? All the same stuff. And sort of figure out what they like. You're keeping your notes, these are the flavors, because at the end, the goal is to get them to go to the site. If you know the flavors they liked, if you know this or that, you can be more relational, obviously, not just go for the transaction, right? We talk about that a lot. So when you start to get to the point of ordering, right? If they've taken a 5-day, if they've taken a 10-day, when you're starting to get to that point, you can sort of ask without you don't have to say, are you ready to go to the site, right? You can say, okay, if you had to choose a flavor, which one's yours, right? Which one's your baby? You've had a few now. If you had to choose right today, which one's your soulmate, right? And lay the foundation that they'll be a customer, right? So you can say, if today was your day and you were like, this is the one I have to go for it, right? Ask. Another thing that you want to do, I think that's super, super important. And I've noticed a lot more communication. I think sometimes we get 5 and 10 days out, or we get, this communication ball rolling, but then it stops, right? Like maybe they watch the video and they stop. Maybe they get a 5 and 10 day and they stop communicating, right? You want to ask for their buy-in on communication. There's nothing wrong with that. And that way you have a mutual commitment. Like, I'm going to check in on you, but I want to make sure you're checking back in with me too. Even if you have one person, if you have 25, there's different reasons for both. But you want to make sure that, you're asking them to communicate with you. So you say, can you do me a favor? Can you message me when you get this 5 and 10 days? So if you're shipping it, right? Or even if you're delivering it locally, can you message me when you're about to take the first one? It lets you set them up. It doesn't end with the 5 and 10 day, right? When you hand it to them, they may forget everything you said when you hand it to them. So you want to make sure that you're telling them how to drink it, when to drink it, stay hydrated, all of those good things, right? So you say, can you do me a favor? Can you message me when you get this, right? Then you're sort of resetting the new expectations for actually drinking it, right? So what do Nick and I do when we mail them out? We have those hackers guides that are in your download section on your homepage. So we print these out. We got them on Vistaprint. You just shrink them down, and there's some recipes on the back. We stick that right in with the 5 and 10 day, and we stick in our business card, and we stick in a little personal note just to remind them, hey, so-and-so, can't wait for you to try this and see how you feel. Can you please message me as soon as you get this, right? So you're asking for that buy-in, and you're getting them to remind you to message you when it's time, right? And then you can say, if you want to go a step further, you can say, one more favor. Can you message me 2 hours after you drink this? And then they're looking for something, right? So if you say, hey, message me 2 hours after you drink this, maybe normally they'd be like, I don't know, or they go about their day, they forget they did it, they get to the end of the day, and they're like, I don't know if I felt anything or not. If you say message me 2 hours after you drink it, they're looking to feel something, right? They're like, oh, am I or aren't I? Whether either way it goes, they're looking and they're ready, right? So I think, like we said, you were going to remind them what they're feeling. I said that earlier. You want to say, you know, it's not, a lot of people drink a couple days and this is why it's important to follow up, because I feel like you've set the expectation that they may or may not feel something. So if they do feel something, then they're like, I don't know if it's the keto, might be coffee, maybe I slept well last night. If you're in there and you've set the expectation and now you say, hey, how you feeling? Did you feel any extra energy? Well, I did. Yeah, that could be the ketones. You know, you never know. And then go from there, right? You can follow up with them. Day 4 or 5, what you want to do, circle back. You want to circle back to that question, right? What were the game changers for them? So you want to come back in day 4 or 5. They've been drinking it. You've been following up. You want to say, you know, what were let's say to yourself, what were those game changers that they told me they wanted to see, right? Did they notice them? Have they been talking about those? Reinforce those in their mind, right? You can ask them, did you notice, right? Did you notice less bloat? Did you notice you were moving more? Did you notice better sleep? Any answer is amazing. If they say yes, reaffirm, right? Validate that. If they say no, fine. It wasn't meant to happen in the 5 and 10 days anyhow. That was just for flavor, right? That's so we can see which one you want to drink for a while to actually feel those benefits, right? That's why, and the language you can still use, that's why we're in our test drive period to figure out which flavor you want so we can, get you the supplies and tools to really start experiencing those benefits, right? So if you're laying this out, right, there's really no way for them to back out if you've laid it out this way, because they've tried the flavors. They're not expecting to experience it. But now that they have a flavor, let's get you the supplies and tools to really feel the benefits that you told me would be a game changer 2 days ago, right? So Hacker's Guide, we got that. Get them to set up the basics. I know there's other things people send out when they're sending out 5 and 10 days. Some people send electrolytes. Some people send different stuff. For us, we send out the basics and then we're going to work with you, right? We're fortunate in the follow-up. We're going to be there, setting those expectations and laying out the road you need to take, right? Our experience. So the opposite, I told you, the opposite doesn't always work. And Nick and I, had that experience ourselves. We started to share this. We were giving it out for free. We weren't setting the expectation that we weren't setting any expectation. We were just like, drink it. You're going to feel amazing. Nick feels great. I just started a week ago. Who knows, right? And then we'd go back 6 months later. Nobody was drinking them. Nobody was reporting in. We weren't reporting into them. Nothing. We weren't setting up anything. We weren't following through. We weren't doing any of it. And what happened is no one put any value on it. No one knew what to do. It was a disaster. And so the minute that we could have these 5 and 10 days and really set people up to get ready to order, everything changed completely, right? So what I wanted, the highlights I want to go back through, right? Listen to their wants, find them their soulmate flavor. That's the goal. That's the whole goal in their 5 and 10 day, and then get them set up for 60, 90 days, right? So before we get off of here, I want to go through some recognition. Patricia Cook, setting up local events to battle bullying. I love that. Catherine Cox, crushing it with new volume and new customers. Donna Piccini, staying on top of DMO with social media and getting 5 and 10 days out. Lori Aliberti, killing person new volume this month. And Ken Cools, Christy Rackley, and Fran Franco, getting your personal story out, which is always something you can connect with and always a good way to set those expectations. So for our call to action tonight, what I want you to do is, if you have 5 and 10 days out there, go back through and listen to this and try to start getting this in your language, in your everyday pattern language. Like, the more you say it, the more you get it out there, it becomes a lot less awkward. Like in the beginning, it's going to feel weird to say. You may not experience anything. A lot of times, even especially with the orange, people, may have experienced some negative things during those first 5 and 10 days. So I think, now it's just, setting that up. So if you have 5 and 10 days out there, go try the new language. Even if you haven't done it yet, go back in, try it now, make sure you're setting it now. It doesn't hurt to start going forward. And if you don't have 5 and 10 days out, write these down and try to use them to re-engage old 5 and 10 days. Like Nick and I did a lot of things wrong back in the day, but there's no harm in going back and say, you know what? I messed up. Like thought I was doing my best, but you know what? Here's my new best. And re-engage them, right? There's never harm in going back and re-engaging people. So what the last call of action, you guys know we have Keto 101 in 10 minutes. So that gives you plenty of time to go out, invite some new people onto the Keto 101. Brian James is going to be running it with Dawn and Kevin. And it's going to be amazing. So I want you to pump that out to your teams, pump it out to your customers, and let's get on there and support them. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, Kelly.